Hello fellow pilots, this is Jet Power in 1960. I just wanted to share some things with you. I've had the new Flightfactor Boeing 777 V2 edition. I picked it up in July of this year, and I've just been studying as much as I can. I really enjoy this airplane. It is a good study aircraft, and you'll see a lot of videos coming out of me doing some short and long haul flights. I hope that you'll enjoy them. To get started, you just go ahead and fire up your X-Plane 12 and then your Flightfactor. This is the first screen that you're going to see when it comes to Flightfactor. You make some of your choices here, and then you'll be able to move around in the aircraft. And I always have this widget showing every time it comes up, because this is where you are able to change the engine types. And we just recently got the new Rolls-Royce Trent 800 series, and that's an engine. The sounds are just incredible, and so later on we'll show you the flying part. But right now, when you want to get started, I always start with the engines off and cold and dark, and to be connected. So connect the ground power unit, or if you just want to have the engines starting already running, just tell it ready. I don't want to have any maintenance issues right now, but there is a slew of maintenance problems that could pop up while you're flying. I don't want to spend all day loading the flight piece by piece, so I just put it on instantaneous, and when I go to loading, they go ahead and load it, and then I'm out. So usually, under an hour. If you really want to get immersed in it, you can do that. And I put never to fail. And I want to experience. I just sit in the captain's seat, not in the right seat. Right now, I have the a cargo aircraft by Aerologic, I believe, and it's Giant. November 703 Golf Tango. It's up in we have it positioned in Anchorage. So all you have to do, once again, just select the engine, go ahead and get it started, and then it'll drop you there. It'll take a few minutes, but already I've been here, so that's one thing I don't have to worry about. So let's just look around. Everything pops into place. You got the air stairs, you got the ground power units, there's your flight crew, it gives you a ramp crew there on the ramp. I'm running a test because I've upgraded from a 16 gigabyte up to a 32 gigabyte, and that's thanks to HD Sims. If you haven't seen some of his videos, I'll put his location in the show notes on the bottom, and then you can give him a shout. He's been very helpful of getting me started, and he's way ahead of me, so I'm just following in his trails. But this is it's a beautiful airplane. I'm a former employee for a major airline, and I worked the ramp, I worked the ticket counter, I worked the gates, I worked in load planning, and so I've seen a lot of airplanes over the 27 years that I've worked with this company. And I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you, don't work for Atlas, but a major company in the United States. So just testing out some different settings. The previous time when I would try to fly this airplane, I would run out of VRAM. and so HD suggested that I would boost it up to 32, which I did. And changing some settings, hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm going to bring this back down because I had it on medium, and when I have it on medium and I have the Zinc plugin, it really boosts up the FPS. I have an NVIDIA 3060 RTX as a graphics card, and just the other day I just did a 9-hour long haul. I love long hauls. The highest that I've gotten was up to 14. No, maybe it was 12. Sorry, I'm thinking about doing a 14 long haul soon. So I just wanted to change this back, and then it'll start going up. Also, I use where did it go? Lossless scaling, and that has been very, very helpful to help with the FPS. And it's only something like $6 off of $6 or $7 off of Stream. And there was somebody I need to research to find out the settings that they have put, which enabled my FPS just to shoot out the roof. There are times where I can see it up to 100 FPS, and it just flips me out. So let's see what we have here. Everything starts with so we have ground power set up. So let me just go ahead and hook up, give it ground power. Turn up a little sound here so you can hear it. I just love the sound. It's also, my last assignment at the airline was aircraft move team. And basically what we did was move airplanes all along the whole day, you know, either from the hangar to the terminal. If there was an emergency, we would go get it, blown tires, things like that. We would go pick them up. And I think that was the most awesome job I've ever had. Okay, let's put on the Adaroo so we can get the location. Put on the bus power. Nav light, logo light. Yeah, there we go. And so basically you want to go to the EFB, because everything starts right here. When you give it power, you just want to give the initial flight, and that starts everything. So the first thing I do, and what I had found out by reading the manual and some other books like the FCOM, they have for pilots that, you know, matter of fact, you'll get it inside here in the EFB. But you want to start with external services. If you have Navigraph, you want to come in here. When you turn there, this green light should be off when you start it. But you want to put your Navigraph code in here, and you'll just find that in the account of your Navigraph account information. Let's see, there we go, send brief. And basically that will take you to your account where you want to be at. Let's go to dispatch. When you go to account, I'm sorry, it should be right here on the bottom tab. Okay, right here. account settings, and just right over here, your username, that's me, but it won't allow you when I'm on it. So that's how you get to it. I also suggest that you go to Hoppy, and sign up for Hobby ACARS. And what's this going to do? It's going to allow the aircraft to talk to if you do an operations like across the Atlantic, the CPDLC. It'll help you connect to that. I know that just about all of Europe use the CPLD, and a little bit of Asia I've seen. I haven't tried it yet, but that's going to be the next another video in the makings. And so basically, you want to go to my account, my ACARS account. They'll ask you to fill out the registration here, and once you get that, when you put your email, they'll give you a code, and you just take that code and keep it with you, and that's going to be your ticket all the way through. And so you want to make sure that you're connected to SimBrief, because you can also get your SimBrief data download here. And then when you go to your ACARS and CPDLC services, this is where you connect to Hobby. You're going to put your flight number in here, and here I have GTI 4802, which is giant, Atlas here, and you put that number in there, and then when Hobby gives you a code, you're going to put that in here. This green light's going to be out, and which gives you an opportunity to type it. You just click in the box, type in your code, and then put the green light on, and then you're good to go. If you are speaking on VATSIM or IVEO or Pilot Edge, you'll select one of these boxes. If not, it'll just show none. But the server in this choice is going to be Hoppy, and then you can also use Say Intentions, which I don't have. Okay. You can receive messages only from ATC if you hit that button there. But if anybody else, if you're flying with your friends, you'll be able to send messages back and forth. Once you have all of this set up, then you click on the ACARS AP CPDLC, and it's going to show that it's connected. It takes a few minutes to go through the internet service, but then after that, you'll see it, like what I set up here. You go to Stations Online, and this is where everybody's online. Now you got IVEO, whoever's on IVEO, or VATSIM, but I'm on none. And so when I click on none and scroll down a bit, I'm going to be looking, and it hasn't shown up yet, but I'm going to be looking for GTI 4802. And like I said, it just takes a few minutes to get there. Alright, so once you have that started, now you can pick up weather. At least you can pick up weather. If you don't have, if you're not set up with ATC, like if you're here in the States, like I am right now, most of the airports here in the United States, they don't use the CPDLC, and I could be wrong. I wish that there was a way that we could find out who's using it, and at what times. It would be great. But what you can do is that you could come over to communications, and when you go to flight information, I usually pull up weather, so it should be up there. In order to pull up weather, you would have to use the scratch pad down here in the bottom. So let me just put Papa Alpha November Charlie. Come over here, you click on it, it's going to say send, and you get that little doorbell ring, come over here to now. You come up here to new messages, and then you have the METARs, and then you have the tariffs. Usually in flight, it will give you the METARs right here on one of your screens here. And then once you're finished with it, you can exit the menu or cancel, or you can come up here to these buttons here and put cancel, and it will cancel the message for you from this screen. Let's see, so we have Windsor 150 at 13 gusting and 26. The altimeter is 3005, so I just want to put the altimeter setting in there right now. 3005. Once you put the altimeter setting here, you just come up here back to the altimeter knob right in the corner up here. Your cursor will turn into a little finger. You click it. Sometimes you hear a little click, and sometimes you don't. But just as long as you get the little hand here, you just click it with your mouse, and then that means that the first officer now has the pressure setting in his window on his PFD. So that's pretty cool. And so now you know how to get the weather. It'll show up on your Hobby account. Let's see if I made it yet. There it is, GTI 4802. You just click on that, and then it'll tell you what you're doing that you sent for weather, and it just keeps track of it. Later on I'll be experimenting because I haven't fully utilized this yet, but I need to know if it will pick up my on and off times and on and end times as I'm flying from one place to another. So we have the airplane powered up. The most important thing is to get the internet connections going through Navigraph and Hopheat. And so we want to double check the dates. This aircraft has the G90s, 90 Bravo series. I have the latest, the latest Navigraph, and there's due to expire September 4th, 2025. But I have a 1-year deal, so I'll never miss it. Go ahead and get the GPS settings, coordinates, and time. Just pop that right in there, and then I'm good to go. So we already initiated the flight, so what we're going to do here is just put in GTI 4802. Put that flight up in there. What I'm going to do now is come back up to send brief, and put in a new flight. Airline GTI. Flight number is 4802. I'm here in Anchorage, PANC, and I'm going to shoot for Chicago. Now automatically it will give you an alternate if it's required. What I usually do with the time here is to I like to give myself a little time, especially when you are. I may set it to like maybe 1905. Give myself a little time. I don't want to rush. I want to take my time doing getting the information and knowing where I'm going and how it's going to work out. This way it relieves the stress and the pressure here. So the aircraft B77F series for your freighter. I already have my airframes already in there, probably 1,000 airframes. Here's Atlas right there, so the computer knows. LDIO is just the basic default flight plan layout that you're going to get. And what I usually do is I just put on all of these. Runway analysis is really what you want to do. A plan step climbs, it will also calculate that for you. Now this new we just had an update today from Flightfactor, so it's 2061, and it's supposed to activate the step-up climb, which is pretty cool. So 5 hours 25 minutes the runway. You always want to double check on the runway to see if it's still sufficient for you to take off on, and pretty much everything looks good. Now what I found out with anything above 5 hours of flight, I put in 20% of a contingency fuel, which is a little bit more fuel. If it's less than 5 hours, then I just go in here and put 10, and it gives me a little bit more. This way you don't get there and you're just ready to, you got maybe 5,000 pounds of fuel left, and then next now you're running out on fumes. You got to do a go around because some guy is still on the runway and he's not even using, he's on VATSIM, but he's not even using the voice, and just clogging things up. So these are my little contingencies that I keep in there. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to save the flight, then I'm going to generate it. And what I usually do is that when I view it in PDF, it's going to go to my Adobe, and then all I have to do is save it here, so I can see it on my phone or download it on my tablet, which you can't see it, but I have it right here. Okay, so I have that saved, and that will take care of that. Let me just double check something here, and hopefully you should be able to see this. Yeah, you should be able to see that through OBS. Okay, so just reduce that a little bit. So now I have all my information there. So now I know that it's built and ready to go. Now there's one screen that you do not see here, and it's going to be the SimBrief downloader. That's another program that you download for free from SimBrief, and basically what it does is that it'll send all of your flight plans to wherever you want it to go. If you want it to go to X-Plane, directory, or Flightfactor, it'll go straight to the airplane. And Microsoft goes directly into the Zibo mod. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that. So now I got the flight number here. All I got to do now is just put in my company route, because it's now a company route. So PANC, we're going to Chicago, KORD, and you have to put a 01 for the prefix for this. Once you have that in, let's just double check that. Now you have your route, you have your flight plan in there. All you want to do now is just activate it, and you're good there. Now you come back to the EFB, you go to Navigraph, and you get the SimBrief flight plan from here. And then you see your information, name, the time that it was generated, and to the city pairs. So you go back to the main menu. You can go back that way, or you can keep I usually go to the menu, and get to where I need to go. So what I just did was I went to the airplane, weight and balance. We're going to come back to this, but I have that page, and what you could do is that you can fill in it will fill out the information from SimBrief and fill in the airplane. So there it is. This is the maximum, looks like this is the maximum zero fuel weight that you could get. But what I usually do is I take the simplified zero fuel weight and I disconnect it so that I can see the loads individually. Now this is a freighter. I usually put 2 pilots on there, and it's only going to Chicago, so I put 3 in the profile on SimBrief. I actually put 3 in the cockpit, and there's nobody in economy class, so we're good right there. Come to cargo, it shows 120, that's about right. And then you have LD3 containers, which, you know, I used to load the airplane like that. These little metal containers, and it pretty much has everything balanced for you, which is really cool. But I don't want to get too deep in that. What I usually do next, once I have the SimBrief downloaded, I'll work everything here first, and then I'll go back to the EFB to finish it. So what you want to do, let's go here. I'm going to check out the route. There's no SID, so we're going to use runway 25 right, and there's a star at the end right here for Chicago, but there's no SID leaving from Anchorage. But I usually double check to make sure that I have the departure runway in there, and that's okay, just to reconfirm. And then arrival, just want to make sure, there it is, Fayette 7. The transition is going to be, it should be zipper. I did that yesterday. There's zipper. They got some funny names out there. There it goes there. Landing on runway 27 center. Okay. So we'll look for 27 center ILS. There it is. And Volgar is going to be the transition. I've seen that before on the plate. So you got that saved, executed, go back to the route, and let's make sure that we don't have any discontinuities there. So everything is good, it looks good there. Okay, so now we'll go into the perf initiation performance, and so this is where now you're going to start plugging in this information. Now remember, what I did have a problem with before is that the zero fuel weight for this airplane is totally different than what SimBrief is displaying. And so, but on SimBrief it's showing 440.00. So we're going to put that number in there anyway, and we'll work with that number. 440.0. That's going to be our zero fuel weight. Fuel today is going to be 120.643, so 120.6. 120. That's not zero. There's zero right here. 0.6. Okay, that brings that gross weight up to 560.600. Alright, our reserves is going to be 19.8. 19.8. doesn't stay open all the time. Oh, that, let's see. Remember that 20% contingency? This is the add-on fuel, just in case if we run into some rough weather along the way. And it, like I said, it's plus 5 hours flight. You want to add a little bit more fuel. If it's less than 5, you just put 10, just to give you a little bit extra. So we have about an hour and 5 minutes if we need to go to an alternate or something like that. Okay, so we have the reserve. Let's see, our cruise altitude is going to be 390. We have to go into, we have to step up because we're too heavy. So 370 and then 390. So we'll go 390 here. And max is 374. Okay, so we'll put 370. But when we get to, I'll show you something here, and I'm taking a look at it the first time also. Our cost index is going to be 85. So we'll put an 85 here. But when we go to the VNAV page, go to cruise, up here should be a window that we'll see if we want to step up. So right now, our maximum ceiling is going to be, our maximum altitude right now is going to be 374. All we just need to get to is 370, so we're good there. Once we get there, then it's going to make the calculations of what's the best altitude that you need to be at. But we want, by the flight plan, we want 390, and then that's when the step climb window comes up. And then we'll be able to plug in that number in there. Okay, so we went from performance, thrust limit climb. Okay, so now we're going to fill in these blanks, and that's going to come in from our flight plan. So the selected thrust saves the life of the engine, and so, which is pretty cool. And so you'll put you'll downrate the engines. It won't be full power, but it'll be at a percentage, either 10% or 20% power that you'll need to take off. Okay, so on this page, it's usually on, okay, it's on, I also use another type of format, and it's usually on the bottom. But here are all of your NOTAMs and your route maps show you where the bad weather is at. But as I come up here, along your route. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is your takeoff data. Excuse me, that's your landing. Here's your takeoff data. So you're leaving here, takeoff and landing report for Giant 4802, Anchorage to Chicago. We're going to use 5-degree flaps. Our selected temperature is going to be 49, and so this will help us to, this is assumed temperature. This is actually not the temperature outside, but this is assumed. So we're going to put 49 here, and that's going to downgrade the thrust needed for takeoff. But then we're also going to select, let me show you back up here, it'll tell you DT01. So we want to derate it to DT01, which is 10% of the engine power. Alright, so it was 98, so it went up a tad, but that will help us on the departure end. And you can see the outside temperature is 16 degrees Celsius. And so we go to our takeoff page. What I like to do is I like to fill in more information as I can. Let me just do something here because I only got the I had the winds, but I didn't put it in there. Let's exit that. Yeah, so I erased it with when I canceled it. So we go back up to the tip request. METARs. Okay, so the wind is going to be 150 at 13. It doesn't have a box for gusting. It's just another story. Okay, and let's see. Now this is Navigraph off of their site. I also have this downloaded on my tablet. So we want to pull up a new flight. You just import from SimBrief. They give you several choices. Download that here. There's the airplane. It already knows our position. And we have a 3-knot tailwind, which you have to know your maximum, which I'm still studying. It should be 15 knots, maybe less than 15 knots for a tailwind for a 777. But we get the same weather and from here, so you're still good. And let me just double check here. We can remove it. Here's runway 15, and you have a 13-knot headwind. So I'm going to change it because that's what let's see, we were set that there. I'm sorry, we were set for runway 25 right. Let's just take a look at Navigraph. This runway is 10,000 foot. You always want to head into the wind as much as possible. Even though it says do not use, I'm offline. So, I mean, I'm the pilot. I make the decision. So do you. So we're going to switch that to 1.5. And there is no SID. A standard instrument departure. And so we're in the green. So we're going to have a 13-knot headwind, which would be in our favor. There's no crosswind component, so it won't be pushed off the runway. What I want to find out is the field elevation. You'll learn some things like from Flight Deck to Sim. He has a lot of good training videos that he likes to, you know, he's a 737 pilot, but he flies a lot of virtual aircrafts online. So 151 is the field elevation, and so the accelerated height is where the airplane is going to start to increase its thrust. So we wanted to do, when we get to 151, it's going to know that, and then it's going to start giving us the calculations of when to retract the flaps. Now the climb reduction, company-wise or manufacturer standard, is usually 1500. So I'm going to pop that there. 16 degrees Celsius. All of these things you can do in this Flightfactor aircraft, which is absolutely awesome. 5-degree flaps. 49 was the SEL number for the selected temperature, assumed temperature. We'll put that there, DT1. Now this number here, We can also get that number for now off of the performance, which is 30%. We'll go over here, keep going. This number may change, and I'll show you why. Now we got our trim at 4.75. The trim won't work because we don't have the hydraulics on. You want to make sure that nobody. You'll talk to the ground crew and tell them to make sure that they're clear when you want to pressurize the hydraulics. But usually this is first because you want to show you don't want the hydraulic fluids to be imbalanced, and that's how you put that on. There's no passengers. Okay, so you have that. You can come back to here. 4.75. You can almost round it off to 5. Okay. I need to go in here now and change that runway, because that's going to change our performance. Okay, so runway 5, your number is a little bit higher, but you just double check right here that you have 1.5, and we're showing 148, 155, and 162. So let's just look at the flight plan real quick. Let's look at that page up. Selected temperatures 49. It's showing V1 152, V2 55, VR rotating speed 55, and V2 is going to be 60. So we're pretty close to the takeoff speeds, and this is just using 5-degree flaps. On this chart, it will give you different scenarios, like if it was a dry runway, or if it's wet. It'll tell you right here in the box. DT01, assumed temperature, and the bleeds on, so you'll keep the bleeds on. If not, they'll tell you bleeds off. Okay, so now that we have that information in here, we'll go to the weight and balance here, just to double check, make sure we got the 3 pilots up front. We got the cargo, which is going to be at 120. I also changed the profile in SimBrief, because actually the 777s, you can put, I believe it's 232,000 pounds of revenue freight on board the airplane, but for some reason the flight factor will not let you go that high. I don't know. That's something that we will work on later on. So let's go back up here. And one thing I like about the default flight plan is that it gives you a breakdown. Other flight plans, they just mix the numbers together and you don't know which is which. But when you go to the SimBrief website, it'll break it down for you. So we have the 3 pilots up front, the cargo, and plus. So that's about 175 each. You round it off, it comes out to 500 pounds. A zero fuel weight is going to be 441.200. Okay. And then our fuel is going to be 120.600. So the weight is pretty close. We have 119.739. You just round it off, you get 120, and so that holds out pretty good. So our takeoff weight is looking like 560.400. Okay, and our maximum carrying weight is going to be 657. Okay, so we come back up here. So we got the weights distributed in the containers, different containers, which I love it. It's all mixed up. And so we go to the loading page. Now we go to the loading page. Now you can load the airplane. But before you load the airplane, you got to make sure, and I don't know why in a cargo, they usually don't have pilots, flight attendants on a cargo flight. But in order to do anything, you have to talk to them. So let me just double check something. Yeah, there's some doors that are open, and so I want her to close it, even though it's a cargo flight.
This is the captain.
You go to
How
cab,
do you hear?
initial.
Good day, sir.
And then once you set up communications, she shows up here on the bottom, and that's you or me, and then the guy on a ramp shows up over here. But ask them to close the door.
Please close the door.
Definitely.
Okay, so they're set. She's going to close the door for us. Okay. Alright, so all of the aircraft doors are closed. So what we can do here, have ground handling. And let's see, I don't have anybody. I'll just put surveyor. And then come here to the widget. Just take a few minutes to spin that right out. And let's see, what equipment do I want? I want a loader. I want some carts and containers. And in the front, and let me just put a field truck. I think I already have my stairs for the crew. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get them to drive up. This is called jar design, and I have one for also. I got it from X-Plane 11, but there is also this one for 12, so it's totally different. And so it gives you that. I love to immerse myself in this as if I was actually loading the flight when back in the day. Me and my other buddies were loading the airplane. So while these guys are getting set up, let's just go back over here. And you always have to hit the communication. So this is for the ground crew, this is for the flight attendants, and this is for the passengers. So there are messages in there that you can, welcome aboard, and ladies and gentlemen, we're at cruise altitude. Sit back on this fabulous Flightfactor 777. But in order for anything to happen, you have to talk to them and set it up. The first officer, if you don't say anything, the first officer will tell you what to do. Sir, you need to communicate with them first, something like that. I just go back to the menu, airplane, ground services.
This is the captain. How do you hear?
We are all here and ready.
So then he'll ask me if I want anything. In this case, maybe we'll just go for the air conditioning cart.
We are in need of some equipment.
Which one?
Left ground air conditioning.
All right.
In this case, you have to hit them one at a time.
How can I help you?
Please disconnect the
No.
right air conditioning.
All right.
He's probably thinking I'm crazy. Make up your mind, old man. Because it takes two.
We are in need
to
of
get-
some equipment.
Make your choice.
Right ground AC unit.
Yes.
Boom, and it just drops out of the midair. Alright, so they're loading the cans on, the containers on, which is pretty cool. And that just gives it, a little bit more realistic feel to it. Pretty cool. Alright, so now we'll go back up to here. Airplane, weight and balance, load planning page, and then we're going to ask everybody to load. So we're asking to put the fuel on since we established communications.
Please start fueling.
Started refueling.
And you can load the cargo.
We are ready here for the loading.
On it.
We want to put catering up there. Basically, there's no
The
catering
crew
on.
and aircraft are now ready for catering to be loaded on board.
Absolutely.
For fueling, for catering, excuse me. They do put on if they're doing long trips, long hauls. But like I said, you know, the crew usually will take care of themselves when it comes down to that. And then the passenger and crew, basically, is just the crew, and that's us.
You may board the aircraft now.
Yes, sir. Starting to load passengers now.
And there's no passengers. They're all
note the
loaded.
load sheet.
So you just heard the first officer say that, you know, we have the load sheet. So that goes here. You click on it again in the front here, and then it'll be over here on the captain's side. Now let's see if it turns around straight. Okay, so it turns around straight. Here's your name, Captain. They give you your city pairs of where you're going, and it'll give you a little breakdown. Fuel on board is going to be 121. Takeoff fuel should be at 120. Zero fuel weight is going to be 440.2, and takeoff weight is going to be 560. So let's go back over here. We'll put these numbers in. We'll confirm it. 148, 155, and 162. Okay. But I want to go back to the initial page here in the performance, and here we are, 560.600, 120 on the fuel, 1.6, and the zero fuel weight. So that should balance the airplane out with no problem. Okay. Now when you if you like the immersial situation like I do, you could have the first officer and the captain interact. They'll give you the procedures of what we're going to do on takeoff, the route, where we're going, and then sometimes there's a weight imbalance, but that's why I double check to make sure that the numbers jive and we don't get out of hand. You know, we wind up in some lake down the other end of the runway. We want to make sure that all of the numbers jive. Okay, so once we have that, then we're going to go back up to the performance page. We want to copy everything that we had from the FMC. Got a little brain freeze there. Copied it into the performance page, and we're going to double check and verify that our speeds are correct. So we're going off of runway 15. This is the length of the runway, 10,865 feet. There's a little slope on it, and so that's fine. So we'll go back to the OK. Here's the city of departure. Here's the runway. What was that? 10,865. 10,865. Gonna put that right there. Click on that. 10,865. Just in case we do if you want to do an intersection takeoff, which we're not. We want full length. Let's see, 16 degrees Celsius and 9 degrees Celsius on the dew point. So usually between 4 to 5 degrees, that's when you can anticipate moisture like rain, fog. So if it was 16/20 or 21, you can usually see that there's some type of moisture going on. So we're going to be put dry condition. The winds that we got was 150 at 13. 150 slash, oops, slash 13, enter. 16 degrees Celsius. I believe it was 30.3005. Okay, takeoff weight. .6, round off to 1, so 561. 561, so that's what we have now. See, there's the CG, it changed to 21%, so we're going to hold that. Takeoff D rate at number 1, flaps 5, we don't need any anti-ice equipment on, and then now we can calculate. So it's showing at trim is 6.75, a V1 is going to be 146. We'll go to the takeoff page, we got 148. VR is going to be 147. We have 155, and V2 is going to be 152. So we're going to change these numbers. 146, 147, and then 152. So that gives us an edge, and then we'll come back here to trim 6.75. About there. Put 21%, and that gives us 6.75. So now everything jives, so we should not have any discrepancy. Okay, when the captain gives us briefing. So once we have now the airplane balanced, we come out of there. I usually go to briefing, and then we got the log there just in case. I'm going to change that anyway once we go. We come back over here, and then we start setting up the route. Make sure that we're good. We're going to switch this to bio, and I'm going to put in 1151. Usually they may round it off to 1200. Okay, 151. And now I want to double check the step climb, excuse me, not the step climb, the route, make sure it jives. Get vectors. We're going to be offline, so I'm not going to do any vectoring. Just go back to one page here. There's Sela Jumbo. There's the runway. 27, and then the missed approach. Come back around and then hold here, and then that's it. So we're good. me set that right there. Alright, turn on the flight director, auto throttle. It's going to be 152. If you have an engine out, it's plus 25 or plus 30. Our runway is going to be a heading of 149. Okay. We're going to go up to 37,000. And once we put that in there, then we'll set up the first officer side. I wish that they could synchronize, so if you lift up the flight director, it'll lift up on the first officer's side. That would be very helpful. Alright, he doesn't have the okay, we're looking at 1151. On the bio for the departure. There. Okay, so he's all set. Turn on terrain and data for his times to get to the waypoint. Okay, so now we have everything set, and what I like to do is to get the pilot briefing if they let me do it.
I think we are ready for the briefing. Do you agree?
Yes.
Pre-flight is complete, the instruments are set and indicating correctly. The flight plan has been programmed into the FMS, and the MCP has been set.
I am ready. Please follow me and confirm. We are departing?
Ted Stevens, Anchorage International.
On the SID, we will depart with flaps 5 following our standard procedure.
Confirmed and set.
Please confirm the runway to be used.
15.
What cruise altitude do we have?
Flight level 370.
Let us now confirm the speeds.
V1 146. Today our VR will be 147, and V2 152. The departure is set in the FMC.
Please follow the MCP with me.
The MCP is set for departure. Our initial heading will be 149.
To which airport are we flying today?
Chicago O'Hare International.
Do you feel we have any special risks today?
Our takeoff weight today will be higher than our maximum landing weight, so in case we need to come back, we will have to dump fuel.
Any other points?
No additional points to make.
Thank you. Continue, please.
In case of any emergency before 80 knots, we will abort the takeoff. Above 80 knots, we will only abort for a serious issue, engine fire or loss of directional control. In case of such issue below V1, we will abort the takeoff, apply maximum braking and stay on the runway. In case of an issue above V1, we will continue with single engine departure procedure. I will handle the controls and you will help me with the procedures. Any questions?
I do not. All is clear.
Okay, so he didn't have any questions. That means that the weights are correct and in line. 'Cause most of the time I was flying before, he would say, hey, the first officer would say to the captain, hey, we have a weight imbalance. And then the captain would say, okay, that's fine. So we got that out of the way. And so what you want to do is to start with your checklist, and it's you read it from here.
Pre-flight checklist.
Oxygen tested 100%.
Okay, and then that's what you do. You go over here and you check the oxygen here on the captain side, and then on the FO. Come back down here.
Tested 100%.
Flight instruments.
Heading set and altimeters all set.
Checklist complete.
Okay. At the end of this flight, I do have a flight guide that I had developed, and basically it gives you as much as I can remember, step by step of what you can expect to do, what to do in the FMC, and I'll put it in the show notes on the it'll be a PDF on the last video. But just FYI, you can also put it in under documents. You have a PDF page here. What Flightfactor did, they put the manual in here, the flight crew operation manual that you need to if you need to see it in flight, you need to figure out what's going on or procedure. All of that's right here, which is really cool. And then I have my PDFs right in here. This is the flight guide that I was telling you about, and I'll put that in the show notes. And this is what little notes that I've taken to make sure that I'm on track and got a handle of everything. Also, Flightfactor gives you the engine's performance. So when you're up, you can cross-check if you're burning enough fuel. If you're not, what percentage. The thrust percentage is used by GE engines, and Pratt & Whitney and Rolls-Royce uses the EPR temperature and percentage. So you need to know the difference between the two. So if you're hand flying it, you want to put the exact EPR number in there for thrust, and also percentage for the GE. Oh, get a cup of coffee here. Okay. Alright, so that takes care of that. So when you do your pre-flight, you have that set. When you push back and you're on the ramp.
Before start, checklist.
Flight deck door. Lock.
Right here.
MCP.
Is set. Have all your numbers in.
Set.
Takeoff speeds.
Set.
CDU pre-flight. Completed.
Completed.
Trim.
It's 6.75.
Set.
Taxi and takeoff briefing. Completed.
And that's what you want to double check. You want to make sure that it's going to be 1.5, so the runway is right there. We just back up or go forwards. Let's see how that looks. Oh, there's some poles here. So yeah, so we'll back up and come to this line here, and then we'll taxi out. So that's Sierra. Make a right turn down on Romeo, and then Quebec, and then we're out.
Completed.
Beacon on.
Okay, so when you are ready to push, you turn the beacon on, and then they'll say, okay, beacon on. In this case, I'm not ready. So I'm going to stop the video here, but I hope that this has been informative. Like I said, I'm learning more and more about the airplane and having tons of fun, especially a couple of long hauls that I've done. But this is what I know so far, and I wanted to pass it on to you guys. And so we'll see you later.